All right, we're recording Geometry B Unit 5 review, and Unit 5 it's just a review unit. So we're really just going to focus on going over what we've learned, and we only have one question. And so it's a pretty simple review today. And but one thing you have to do is I sit down, I have a pen and paper, and I have my formula sheet. You guys should all, before you take the final exam, you need to have a formula sheet with all your areas and volumes. So area of rectangular pyramid, area of circular pyramid, area of a cone, area of a sphere, and same with volume. So you should have all the area and all the volumes for all those squares, prisms, pyramids, cones, cylinders, and spheres. And so I have my formula sheet. I have something to work with. And I'm going to get my pen so I can write on the screen. Get some ink in that. And we'll get started. All right, it looks like I'm writing in blue today, and that's a little too thick. That's a little better. Okay, so I start off, it says I have a solid metal cylinder, so let me draw that. And this is solid, and there's my cylinder. Okay, and it's 6 inches tall, and it's got a radius of 3 inches. So the radius is 3 inches and it's 6 inches tall. And I'm going to melt this down, and then I'm going to make some cones. And let me draw a cone for you. It's got a circular base. You know what a cone is. It kind of goes up like that. So that's a cone. Here's a different view. Maybe this one's better. It's hard to draw these in 2-dimension. And then the other part, this kind of goes around back there. So that's a cone. So I'm going to melt this down. So I need to figure out how much is here. And then I'm going to make little cones. So first of all, when I melt this down, I need to know the volume. And volume of a cylinder is this, the circumference times the height. And the circumference, the area, I'm sorry, not circumference, area of the base, and then it says base times height. And the area is a circle, and the area of a circle is pi r squared. So pi r squared times the height. And we know pi, 3.14. We know r is 3, so r squared. And we know the height is 6. So if we do that math, we're going to have 3.14 times 9 times 6. And I know 9 times 6 is 54. And I have to break out my calculator, which I have right here. Let me turn it on. I just use my phone. Seems to work all right. So 3.14 times 54. So I get 169.56. So I'm going to say my volume, I'm just going to call it 170. And that's inches cubed. Because the area, this is inches squared, and times inches is inches cubed. Okay, now I need to know the volume of each cone. And the volume of a cone, this is from my formula sheet, it's 1/3 base times height. And the base is a circle again, so it's pi r squared times the height. So it's similar to a cylinder, except for we only have this much of the cylinder. That's why we have 1/3. Everything else is the same. So 1/3 base times height. And we have a different height and a different base. Our base has a 2-inch radius this time. Our height happens to be, no, we have a 1-inch radius and our height is 2. So these are little cones. So let's find out the volume of each cone. The volume of a cone will be, put C for cone, not to be confused with 1/3 times r squared, and r is 1 squared, times h, and h is 2. Okay, this math is a little easier. So 1/3 times 1 times 2. Or 2 times 1/3. And I don't need my calculator, but it's all right if you do. I get 2/3. So 2/3 inches cubed. So to make one cone, it's going to take 2/3 inches cubed, and I have 170 inches cubed over here. So the question is, how many cones can I make? Well, 2/3, let's there's a few ways I could divide, and one way is if we convert 2/3 to a decimal. And 2/3 is about 0.67. So now I could do 170 divided by 0.067, or I could just say if 2/3 is 1, then how many can I make in 170? Okay, one thing I'm realizing, this is way too small. We forgot our pi in our equation. So let's throw that in, 0.14. So let me multiply 3.14 times 0.67. Should make things come out a little bit nicer. And I will use my calculator here. 3.14 times 0.67 equals 2.1. So each little, I was wrong, times, I got to put times pi. We forgot to include pi in our formula. So 3.14. There it is. This, instead of being 0.67, the volume is actually 2.1. So the volume inches cubed. So each little thing is 2.1. And the question is how many can I make? So now I just go 2.1. That's what we need for each cone. And our material, we have 170 inches squared of material. And we need 2.1 inches for each cone. So 2 goes into 17 8 times. 2 times 8, 16. So I'm going to bring down a 1. And then I bring down the 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. So I come up with 85. We should be able to make 85 of those. And 85 isn't an answer choice, but 81 is. And remember, we rounded this answer up. So it could be just a rounding error. And there's a little bit of rounding here. So if we have this much of a cylinder and we melt it down, we'll end up with 170 cubic inches. And each little cone we make takes 2.1 cubic inches. So 2.1, we could end up making 81 of those little cylinders. So that's your review. And I hope this review's shown you that you should have pen and pencil to draw pictures of the problems and work out your equations, you need a formula sheet with all your formulas. If you forgot, you can always just go online and look them up. Type in geometry formulas, or area and volume of a rectangle or a prism, rectangular prism, area and volume of a pyramid, area and volume of a cylinder, area and volume of a sphere, and area and volume of a cone. It's all you need to look up. So those formulas are available. Good luck on the tests. And again, this unit's all about review. So hopefully you've reviewed well and you're ready, and then you can move on to the semester final. Thank you.